You are a B2B service-based business owner and you are looking to gain more clients, create more impact, and more revenue in your business. Tune in to Amplify Your Marketing Message with Campbell Rapin. Every week, we're going to take you through how to build an audience of buyers, mastering your marketing message, and making offers that convert consistently. We'll see you all on the inside. Welcome back, everybody. Today, I want to bring you the voice of your next customer, client, or buyer, because it's a voice that you don't spend enough time acquainting yourself with. And that's a mistake, because truthfully, if you want to see more yeses to your marketing, more yeses to your offer, and more yeses to clients who stay with you, it comes down to understanding that value creation is a partnership. And the only time that money moves hands in business is when the value as seen by the eyes of the buyer is higher than the investment to be made. When there isn't that gap, you have a luxury item, a nice to have, a someday requirement, but truthfully, not an essential purchase. And your business to see success consistently should be viewed by your next customer, client, or buyer as an essential purchase. So often I encounter business owners and I put them into an environment, often through my events, through my webinars, or through general dialogue. And I say, tell me what it is you do. And this is what it often sounds like. Well, I do X, Y, and Z, and you get 3 of these, 4 of these, 7 of these. Do you want to buy it? My name and my details are in the chat. And every single time I go, what the heck was that? It's like a crash and burn attempt at sales that never works. You're doing it wrong, my friend. The truth is, you need to understand a couple of business foundations. And these are the foundations that I work with all my clients around. So this is also a bit of a sneak peek to what it's like to actually hire me and to work with me. Couple of things we need to lay for foundations. You need to be ensuring that you are in a room with potential buyers for your business before you ever make an offer. Otherwise, you are wasting your shot. In order to know that you're in a room with potential buyers, you need to find out if people in the room meet the criteria of 3 specific things that every buyer needs. Do they know they have a problem? Have they tried to solve the problem and fallen short through expectation, through resources, through speed? And if they've fallen short, are they satisfied with that shortcoming? If they're not satisfied, they're often open-minded to an alternate avenue to create different results. They have an awareness, a curiosity, and a willingness to entertain the concept that different inputs will lead to different outputs. The third thing is that they're committed to trial and error, which means they're willing to do something. And all about now, I watch all these light bulbs going off in your earbuds and in your screens because you're like, oh my God, I don't think I'm actually talking to buyers. Ding, 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 ding. You are probably not. And staying doing that is not the recommended path. Just so we're clear, talking to a room who doesn't want what you have, cannot afford it, and is not willing to commit to the actions that will change the outputs is a gigantic inefficiency. Change your strategy. But if you recognize that a buyer has those 3 things, then you need to start to recognize what motivates them so you can figure out where to find them. And so I'm going to take you through the 4 steps, the 4 key questions every buyer goes through, so that you can forevermore put on your listening ears, so that when you're out networking or meeting with business owners or standing out in social interactions, that you can start to develop the muscle of being able to identify, and eventually attract more people that will say yes to you and move towards an offer. Because when people do that cluster, crash and burn attempt at introducing themselves, more often than not, they're really focusing on the question of how. I see this result and here's how I deliver it. And that sounds pretty logical, truthfully. So I give you a bit of grace around that. But how is a response to something? And then the most embarrassing truth here is nobody's asked you how yet. So not particularly effective, is it? So let's carry the voice of your customer today. Let's talk about your next buyer. Okay. I'm going to advocate for your next buyer today. I'm going to take you through the journey of the 4 steps I am thinking on as I move towards better inputs to create better results. And just while I say that, I want to hold here for a second, just so we're clear. The only thing myself as a buyer will pay for is better results than I'm currently getting. That might be better results as in faster, better results as in frequency, better results as in effort, return on investment. But it's got to be better, or it's a luxury, a nice to have, not an essential. And when we are crafting our business, we need to be seen as the must hire. We need to be seen as essential. We need to be seen as a smart business decision. And if we're not, my friends, you're living on a hope strategy that's highly dangerous. But here it is. Here's where it all begins. One of the first things I take my clients through is, sure, tell me where you're starting from. And they tell me about their offers. They tell me how they deliver it. And they say, this is what's working and this is what's not working. And I say, okay, well, that's where our current starting point is. But I think everything you've told me is in a response to something that hasn't yet been established, validated, or confirmed. Because you've been in the room of enlightenment and your results aren't creating to the same degree as what you believe is possible. And the biggest gap is that you truly don't put yourself into the shoes of your next buyer. And to do that effectively, it starts by asking this question: what do they want? Not what do they need? What do they want? What do they desire? What result is compelling and meaningful to them? What does that result look like that they would say equals success? What happens when I start to get that result? It's a whole host of questions around what. Because what is a motivator? What is the spark of action? And our goal, you've heard me say this many times on this podcast, our goal as business owners is to intentionally create movement. And when we can focus on movement, we can create momentum. And so you need to start by understanding what is happening to your buyer. What questions are they asking? What results are meaningful to them that sparks them into movement, sparks them into taking action? Because your job is never to be the spark for your buyer. And it's the number one thing I sell to people before I ever make an offer. To be crystal clear, you have to tell me why your business is non-negotiable. You have to be clear what it is you want, and I am a fuel source to helping you get it. I am not the spark itself. And that's exactly the same for you and your next buyer. You are in a response to something that is already in motion, and your job is therefore never to convince, because movement is happening independent of you. They are already 3 things: problem aware, actively seeking a solution, prepared to change the inputs and outputs, and are committed to doing so. It doesn't mean they're going to love it and they're going to go sailing through it like rainbows and unicorns, but their commitment, their want is more crystal and solid than desire. So the first question that you have to figure out is what is going on. Because only when the question of what is first initiated can you intelligently respond and be listened to. So if you have ever felt in your business, hands up here, if you've ever felt in your business that you are talking to the wind, it's because you are telling how and nobody has asked you what. Ooh, that one dig a little, didn't it? You keep saying how, and imagine if, then let me tell you how, and if you're this, how. God, stop it. It's not working. It is crazy. You have to be recognizing you are not serving everybody. You need to see them initiate the what, and you respond. Your goal in response of how, which is the second question, is to be seen as a viable alternative, fully recognizing there might be 1,000 or more variables and thousands or more different options. You are but one. But you can then respond to, if you want this, this is how you get it. And you think, well, that's it. That's it. It's solved, done, dusted. Perfect. Christine, next. Not so fast, my friend. How is great, but how is actually a very lazy question. Your next client, customer, or buyer can find out how from a million resources and still do diddly squat. And trust me, 58% of people don't accept an offer, not because they've solved the problem, but because of indecision. So it's a really big problem. I can Google the how. I can ask my dog how. I can ask my chiropractor how. I can ask my grandmother how. I can ask TikTok, YouTube, Pinterest, LinkedIn. Knowledge, my friend, is everywhere. So you can't just stand on how because it's not enough. If knowledge was the biggest gap, honestly, we would have solved all the world's problems. And yet we haven't. So it doesn't stop there. How simply is information. And you can't sell effectively only on information. So what happens next? Well, you need to think about the third question, which is who. And who is a multifaceted question, because I know what I want, I know how to get it, but truthfully, no action is happening. And how do I spark movement? Well, I need to start to ask the question, who? Who, as the buyer, do I need to become to do the things I know I should do? Because it can't just be about what I want to do, although that's truthfully where I start. I also have to do what is required. And who do I need to be in order to do the things that are required? Because if I know how to change the result and I do nothing, I get no different change. But if I get to think, what do I need to do? Who do I need to become? And if I'm willing to take that risk, I will change different inputs and I will get different outcomes. So the first question is often an internal question of who. Who do I need to be? I might also start to ask, who could help me? Who do I know who already has that result? Who can I learn from? Who should I surround myself with? And equally important, who should not be influencing me? Because their patterns keep me giving old habits, same results. So then we start to be a little more aware that in order to do something different, we need to be doing something different. And truthfully, the fastest path is to hold hands with somebody else. Because we know what to do, but accountability increases our effectiveness. So I know what I want. I know how to get there. I've started to ask the question, who, and I am starting to step into a new change of beliefs as the buyer. And I'm also starting to recognize I could easily fall backwards into my old habits. So who do I need around me that will disrupt that pattern? And when I do that, I should sure hope that one of the variable alternative options is you as a potential service provider. And that's truly done effectively if you have a good strategy to get found by the people that are seeking. And that doesn't mean tech, doesn't mean complicated ad spends. Truthfully, you can get found by your next buyer in a lot of low-tech ways. I advocate that all the time until we have proof of concept. And only then do we add gasoline with some more enhanced marketing tactics. But before we make a decision and before money changes hands and the investment and the offer is accepted, there's another question we ask ourselves. And it's why? Why now? Why this solution? Why? Because I said it before, I'm coming back to it. When you are the buyer, nobody else can do the work for you. You have to be the spark. So you have to sit with, why will I do this? Why is this non-negotiable? Why now? Because this problem I've had is a problem I have seen before. We're in fact really good friends. This comfort zone does not serve me, but boy, is it convenient, comfortable, and well known. I get to choose as the buyer to draw the line in the sand, maybe for the 1 millionth time, that I'm not going to do the things that I've done in the past. I am going to change the outputs. I'm going to step into that who I need to become. I'm going to surround myself with people. And yes, I'm willing to invest with others in the accountability piece that will help me change a pattern that is no longer serving me. And I get to decide why this matters more than convenience. And that comes down to certainty. So when I am guiding listeners, potential clients in my business, I'm always listening for what questions are being asked by the person on the other side of the telephone, the screen, or the coffee shop. They're talking to me in language that makes me clue in to where they are. They might be talking about, what I want is more clients. What I want is to not wonder where my next client is coming from. What I want is a confidence that I know how to create clients and that I can close a sale and begin a new relationship. I want to do it predictably. I want to do it frequently, and I want to do it profitably. And so I know what they want. And they often come into my space because they've heard me on this podcast, or they've attended one of my events, or maybe they've come to a webinar, or they've been referred to me from some in my network. And they say, Christine, I don't know how to create a client growth engine. I said, well, I know how. I know how. And I can tell you that that how has been a repeating pattern: low risk, high result, 400 clients, creating $1 billion in combined revenue. I know how. And they're like, Christine, tell me how. I said, well, there's 5 business foundations every business on the planet needs. You need to know who your next buyer is. You need to know how to move them curious to paid client. You need to make an offer that is valued, and you need to be seen as the must hire. You need to influence yourself to show up as a leader. You need to influence your client to get the results. And you need to ensure that the advocates around you are doing what they say they're going to do. And number 5, business is math. Inputs equal outputs. And I go, wow, that seems really clear. And I never really hear it very clear very often. I said, well, that's because a lot of people can't tell you how and then walk the talk. They're like, that's interesting, Christine. I see you walk your talk. You are someone who walks your talk. And because you work with so many people, I have a lot of confidence that you can help me believe I can do this too. Who do I need to be, Christine, to get that result? And I said, if you and I are working together, you're a person that can get the results, or I would never make you an offer. And truthfully, I'm not betting on your business dream. I'm betting on you as an individual. I know I can help you create a business because I've done it repeatedly in the past, and I know the foundations that required effort to create predictable results. But getting to know you, getting to know who you are, I'm saying to you, I will bet on you. And you can borrow my belief until you hold your own. And people keep moving and say, okay, I really think I want this. I know what I want. I know how to get it. I believe you can be the person to help me. And these following words typically fall off their lips. Tell me what it's like to work with you. And I said, well, I will absolutely do that if you tell me why we're having this conversation. Why now? Why is this a non-negotiable? What are you prepared to sacrifice? Will you do not just what you want, but what is required? Tell me why this is the moment to make you the offer. And if I'm certain when I hear that response that it's believable, I will say, here's what it looks like to work with me. And I'm here to answer any questions you have about it, but I'm also here to ensure you make a decision. And that decision equally can be, heck yes, Christine, I'm ready. Here's my credit card. And it can be, I'm scared, but I know I'll come back to you. And I'll say, I'm certain I will be here. I'm not tied to the outcome. I'm tied to the commitment of recognizing you as the buyer worked through 4 key stages. They're linear as I presented them to you today, but they don't always happen in sequence. But I never make an offer or bring a client into my business that I haven't worked through these 4 things. And that is why I mentor this, guide my clients to establishing this in their own business, because this creates a repeating pattern. And business needs to have repeating patterns. So if you want more clients in your business, my first invitation for you is to stop thinking about you and your how and recognize that your buyer is a partnership with you. And in order to create movement, you need to understand the 4 questions they will go through. What do they want? How will they get it? Who do they need to be to get those results? And who might they need around them? And you need to be seen as a viable option and a must hire in that intersection point. And when you're about to make the offer, you say, why now? And then you must lead confidently. If you are certain that you can help guide them and you are their best choice, you need to instill confidence that this is a smart decision, and you must lead to a place where a decision is made. And that means leadership. Business growth is elegantly simple. I want you to find more clients. This is the roadmap to creating it. And it sounds simple. It requires building the muscle to be effective. So yes, I want you to do 2 things right now. Number 1, I want you to save this episode, because this is one you're going to need to listen to repeatedly to challenge yourself to get different input so you create different results. And I will also say this. It's hard to do this without somebody in your ear all the time. And in your ear is one thing. Working across the screen in person, holding your hand, is something different. And that's why we do invite you right now to explore working with us. We will guide you through these 4 questions. We will help ensure that you can guide your next client through these 4 questions. And that will ensure that you get more clients more consistently, more profitably, and more frequently. You can do that in one of 2 ways. In a one-to-one mentorship fast path, and in a group program, which is still a fast path, but is in a group setting. So what support do you need? Both options are available. You want to go to ChristineCampbellRapin.com and start on the Work With Me tab and explore what this looks like. And then have a conversation with me. Let's find you the right path, because solving this is non-negotiable. I've shown you how. I believe that you can create this. And my invitation is to step on and get the accountability so that this becomes your foundation of repeatable success. So do it right now. Save this episode and go to the website, explore the options, and book a call with us. Until next time, my friends, it's go time. I'll see you soon. That's a wrap on another amazing episode of Amplify Your Marketing Message with me, your host, Christine Campbell Rapin. Be sure to subscribe on your favorite podcast platform so you don't miss another great episode. And be sure to visit ChristineCampbellRapin.com/podcast to get a free resource on how to master your marketing message.